Welcome back to Warthorn Weekly News. This week the 1.89 dev server was open, and we got to see everything that's coming. Well, maybe everything that's coming. So hit that subscribe button, and let's first talk about the namesake of the patch, the Imperial Navy. I do want to do a much more simplistic video kind of showing off all the vessels that are to come, but here I'll give you my basic thoughts on them real quick. First off, the boats, they don't look that good. They're quite slow and have slow fire rates. Some of the higher tier boats will do alright. The PGO-2 definitely is going to do well. It's extremely fast. The gun tears apart other boats and can even be quite a nuisance to destroyers, although it still takes a bit to actually kill one. One of the later vessels, I think it was from the 70s, was the Chikugo. Had one turret of two 76s with a good fire rate, similar to the Project 159. But what made this boat stand out is it had a missile launcher on the back of it that, unlike the exosets on that one German ship, actually has a damage model. Like, you can see it in the X-ray, which heavily implies that Gaijin is planning to do something with this. The destroyers in the Japanese line, speed-wise, they're pretty decent. The amount of guns they have, pretty alright with their fire rates as well. There's a new system with essentially ready racks in the turrets. It worked exactly the same, and I'm pretty sure just about every nation is going to be getting these. The one major issue I can see with the Japanese fleet is that their destroyers don't have any AP shell, and they don't even have base fused HE. It's all just regular HE. Now, I haven't played Naval in a while, but really, AP can be extremely helpful when in close range engagements where you're able to snipe those ammo racks. So if that is how it's going to be on the live server, it could be very detrimental to Japanese fleet. I'm also pretty sure, I need to look into it, I'm pretty sure they did have base fuse HE for their destroyers. As for their light cruisers and now heavy cruisers, they seem like they'll actually be quite a threat. They got HE and AP. The ones with smaller guns have much faster fire rates. The Kuma, despite having a low number of guns, has it set up so you'll be able to use those guns on both sides of the ship. For frontal engagements, you'll probably have to angle a little bit to get the back guns to be able to shoot. And overall, I do think it's a bit worse than the other early light cruisers, though I still think it'll be able to hold its own. The Keiko is something I'm very much looking forward to, as it is a heavy cruiser, but only at 5.3, with 6 200mm guns. However, because of the large caliber, it had a really long reload, and turret traverse was not nice at all. In those categories, the Agano made up for it, however only having 6 15cm guns. Besides that, it had a moderately better AA, and just generally looked cooler. The ship at the end of the line, the heavy cruiser Furutaka, was actually unfortunately kind of disappointing, as the guns had a very long reload, and I felt in comparison to what the Brooklyn can put out, this thing is not holding up. But the ship was alright, I guess. It had 6 203mm guns, with HE being able to penetrate 91mm at 1,000. Bit of a shame that Japan never bothered to put one of these guns on a tank. That would be awesome. Of other boats that were added, there was a Russian sub-chaser called the Groza, which reminded me a lot of the German premium Type M 1943, being armed with 2 100mm main guns and a pretty good anti-air armament. However, the German boat is a bit thicker than this Goza. The British got another light cruiser, the Southampton, at 5.3, armed with 12 6-inch guns in sets of 3, with 4 turrets. Being only 3 guns away from having the same amount as the Brooklyn class, I gotta ask, why isn't this 5.7 as well? Of other qualities of the light cruiser, I actually didn't bother to look at it too much because I was too mesmerized by the Japanese fleet, so excuse me on that section. Not many tanks actually are coming this patch. Of the R is the Bradley Adats, which has pretty OP missiles in my opinion, being able to penetrate 900mm, and they're not HE, they're heat. So they can actually go through stuff like spaced armor, unlike the Russian missiles that seem to nullify as soon as they touch anything that isn't normal steel. Besides that, the 25mm cannon can penetrate a whole lot, about 110mm I believe, and that comes with stock belts, although the fire rate is far too low for you to actually shoot at any planes realistically, although you'll definitely be able to hit helicopters on the other hand. The Stormer HVM with the Starstreak missiles was actually my least favorite missile spag that they added this patch, as you actually needed to hit the target for the missile to actually do any damage. And it seems sometimes they wouldn't do any damage at all. There definitely was something kind of buggy about them. But even with all the bugs fixed, you still have to get contact for them to kill an aircraft. Whereas the other ones have proximity fuses and can blow up real close by. They also had no tank killing potential. Well, they could kill lightly armored targets. Anything a Bofors could get through, they could get through it. But at top tier, besides other spags, there's not many things that are that lightly armored. And you also have to be about 100 meters away way for the darts to actually leave the missile. Otherwise, it just explodes on the side of the tank. The 9P149 Strum S, while a very cool looking tank, is probably the least exciting of all these. Nice low profile, cool reload animation, and best of all, that it was actually bugged on the dev server and the rockets shot up a slight bit. It was really annoying. Now to get into the real tanks, starting off with the C1 Ariete, which was actually very disappointing as it had the same armor values. I think the only real difference was the engine was slightly stronger. This is the dev server. Perhaps things will change when it goes live. We'll have to see. However, that's not the only thing the Italians are going to be getting. There's also a new premium pack for the OF-40 Mark II MTCA, which was an export variant to the United Arab Emirates. Generally, it's the same to the main tech tree one, however, this one has a 1,000 horsepower engine. I don't remember how much the tech tree one is. I'm hoping it's not too far off, otherwise that'd be a little sketchy. Along with this new pack, owners of the old M60A1 pack for Italy will get a 30% discount. However, the old M60A1 will lose its stabilizer and become a 7.7, which could be a positive in some eyes, but it could also annoy quite a few others. Honestly, I don't understand how Gaijin didn't realize that the Italian M60s didn't have stabilizers. Like, even I knew that, and I'm just a dude on YouTube. The French, of course, are getting the Leclerc S1. In the dev server, its armor values weren't showing up when you examined it via X-ray. Doing a penetration analysis showed off that the turret was extremely weak, having at times around 200 millimeters of thickness. However, the front plate was stronger than a stale baguette. I'm not sure how this matches up to the actual Leclerc S1, but I'm hoping that it's just some sort of bug or something, because that turret was very weak. The other tank that they're getting was the Super AMX-30, which was a premium that you can buy on the store. When this thing's devlog first came out, there was claims that it was fake. I'm going to take Gaijin's side and just assume it's not fake. It seems a little odd that they had faked this thing when there's other things they could have faked. Though they did add the 109Z wing for some reason. But anyways, pretty much it's just a AMX-30 with a stabilizer. There's probably a few other things that changed about it, but nothing major substantially. Apparently it was evaluated by Saudi Arabia, which would make this the, second, third maybe Middle Eastern tank? Well, I guess you have to count the Israeli ones. Been quite a few, especially in this patch. It would be nice to see one in the Russian tree to go along with everyone else. It would be cool to see the infamous Lion of Babylon, which did very poorly in real life and apparently didn't have any composite armor. Now, this sounds terrible, but if it were to be adjusted to the correct battle rating, it could actually be a pretty good, perhaps, glass cannon. Although apparently its AP-FSDS was made out of steel as well, so I don't know, maybe it could just be a cool low-tier T-72. The final tank, also in the French tree, is the Roland 1, or the AMX Roland, which is a French missile spag, which I found to be pretty good when it actually worked. For some reason, when I took it into a custom battle to test it out against a friend, after firing 2 missiles and having it try to reload, it wouldn't stop reloading. You also needed to have the turret facing forward to actually reload. Sometimes it would automatically do that, sometimes it wouldn't. Definitely very buggy, and I guess that's probably the reason why the German variant that was on the Martyr chassis wasn't in game yet, but it was found in the files. Of the aircraft being added, the US is getting 2, both of which are attackers. The first one, the AM-1, right before the 82, can carry 3 torpedoes, which is going to be absolutely lovely in naval. I believe it was coming at 5.3, so just in line to take along with your Brooklyn class to completely ruin naval forces. The other was a premium, the A2D Sky Shark, which was insanely OP. It had an alright armament, could take a good number, I think it was 20 500-pound bombs, or 2 2,000-pound bombs, which unfortunately drop at the same time. However, what makes this thing OP is, despite being at 4.7, can easily, and I say easily as in it'll get there in just a few minutes, reach 800 kilometers an hour in level flight. At 4.7, I'm really hoping this is somehow a glitch or something, but historically, the vehicle could reach 800 kilometers an hour, at least that's what Wikipedia says. A little bit of me really hopes that they keep this at 4.7, just so I can laugh at how hysterically broken the vehicle will be. The ME-264, very nice looking bomber, I believe was also 4.7, had some pretty interesting bomb loads, an alright defensive armament, although its repair cost is just insane. Not too much to say because it's a bomber. It looks awesome. It's a XP pinata pretty much, and a black hole for your silver lions. Japan got another twin-engine heavy fighter, the J5N1, which happens to be the first of the leaked models that were on that one guy's DeviantArt page. Further confirming that, yeah, eventually we'll get the F8 Crusader. Besides that, it's another Japanese heavy fighter. It looks cool, has a nice cockpit. The British are getting the Hunter F6, which runs out of ammo very fast. Also, apparently, its air-to-air missiles can pull up to 25 Gs. However, only in game they could pull 5. Besides that, it was a bit faster than the one currently in game. However, is not a supersonic replacement for the unfortunateness that was the Javelin. The F-86K was kind of like a Saber, but ran out of ammo really fast. I don't really play top tier jets, so I don't exactly have a whole lot to say on these topics. There was an Italian one found in the files, apparently, so that'll be nice to see. Of other things also found in the files, because there's actually quite a few things that didn't show up, which I have a feeling will eventually, was first off the Type 16, which, if you can't tell from the name, entered service in 2016. So I've been playing War Thunder for longer than this thing has been in service, which is really surreal to have it come into War Thunder. But more importantly, if we're going to be getting more of these tanks on wheels, where's the M1128 MGS Gaijin? Also found in the files having to do with Japan, which leads to a lot of weird theories that could be out there. And H1S for Japan. Perhaps this is hinting that we're going to get a Japanese helicopter tree next in the next patch, or maybe they're going to throw this one out there and you can buy it and then the rest of the tree will come later, kind of like how they did with the Italian vehicles. But that's not it on helicopters. There's also 2 Eurocopter Tigers for France coming. Unfortunately, none for Germany, as Germany also used these types of helicopters, although different models than the ones that are in the files. Russia is not being left out of the various file helicopters, as an Mi-28 had been found. Very cool looking helicopter, and I'd love to see it. Although helicopters are kind of trash in-game, I'd love to see helicopters actually have a purpose, not just snipe tanks with ATGMs. There is a Regina 2002 early model found in the files. It fostered a unique design on the tail that made me think perhaps this is going to be an event vehicle, maybe for Operation Suffer. There was also the F2G1, which is a super Corsair made by the company Goodyear. It's really just a faster Corsair, and I can't think of a good reason why they'd make it a premium. I feel like it more likely is also going to be an event vehicle. However, there was a third, the Yak 3U, which is a Yak 3 with the same engine as the PE8 or LA7, finished after the war. A bizarre design like this I couldn't see fitting anywhere else in the tree except for also an event vehicle. But now we got 3 aircraft event vehicles. So I don't know, man. Maybe this one is going to be another premium to go along with the Yak 3 VK107. Not vehicles, but commonly going along with vehicles, was something titled the SU_9M127. At first, people thought it to be the SU-9, which I find very unlikely, unless it's the 1946 variant, which is kind of a copy of the 262. However, I feel it's more likely to be the 9M127 ATGM that is found on the Mi-28, and the SU just standing for Soviet Union. But also, a AGM-65 Maverick TV-guided missile, which goes on a whole lot of vehicles, and it opens up a very big bag of worms. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on TV-guided stuff and more self-guided armaments? Because they've been going in that direction for quite some time, and personally, I don't know if the game is ready for it. Well, I don't know if the way the game is played can cohesively have that stuff enter. I feel like it might disrupt the entire gameplay flow. But because of all these vehicles that were found in the files that did not appear in-game, I have a pretty good feeling that there is going to be another dev server, maybe even a third. I think the next one is going to happen next week on Saturday, although I don't know, maybe it could happen Tuesday. But it's very possible that we'll get the patch the last week of this month or the first week of the next month. Some other things that were found in the files was some maps for Naval, but no one cares, unfortunately. There was a lot of gameplay changes, and I don't feel like covering them all. I hope you don't blame me. There was a big old list, and a lot of them were really boring, like, oh, this plane's its armor thickness was increased by an amount that we're not telling you. But some interesting ones that I picked out were, you can hit ATGMs with your machine guns now. The likelihood of that happening is very low. I tested it with a friend. He was in the Falcon, I was in the Type 60 ATM, and while he said he hit it on his screen, I did not see it happen on my screen. Honestly, the only thing I think this is added to the game for isn't actually to try to save yourself from someone sniping you with ATGMs. I think it's in preparation for adding anti-ship missiles. One of the ways that you'd stop an anti-ship missile is have a machine gun shoot it down. Of course, the machine gun would be like radar guided and everything. So I'm going to try to enjoy Navy as much as possible before that is added to the game. A large list of vehicles got hauled hull brake, but I'm pretty sure quite a few of these already had hull brake, so maybe the patch notes are just trash. The flight model changes area does literally just say, will be added to the patch notes later, and it's now later, and they're not here, so well played, Gaijin. There was a section that said that the Leo 2A5's turret had been fixed. I wasn't aware that it was broken. I had the bright idea to read the patch notes after the dev server was closed, so I unfortunately did not bother to go check and see what they had fixed. And the Key 200 now has HO 155 to 30mm cannons opposed to the Type 5. I'm not sure if this is historic or not. I guess it is because the Key planes are typically Army planes which don't use Type 5. Those are Navy guns. But also I believe the HO 155 to 30mm cannons actually have a much higher velocity than the Type 5. So that's a nice buff. There are some sections about World War mode. There's a Q&A, and of course there's the rules to the event that's going on. However, it's kind of late at night and I really don't want to have to go over this. I think I'm going to leave that to another video. So that should be just about everything that happened in the dev server. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, you can get them down below or on my Discord. If you like the video, hit like button. If you don't like the video, don't hit like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I make War Thunder Weekly news videos every weekend. I make random videos throughout the week. I stream on Saturdays, and I want to start streaming on Twitch more often, so follow me there and hit that bell icon to be notified anytime I upload anything. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a really good day. Bonus news! Really weird thing, when you went to change the controls in the dev server, even if you set up with the most modern ones that I had, which filled out just about everything that was there to be filled out, you got a warning when you went to close it saying, warning, there are no buttons assigned to the following actions. Aircraft, hotkey/ID toggle laser designator, and then helicopter, hotkey ID toggle laser designator helicopter. I'm not sure what this means, but it sounds like more advanced armaments.